Welcome again, John, to the Zoom room.
Yeah, very good.
Nice to see you. So just going live. So yeah, we're live streaming. So welcome back to another section of the text. So going to be covering section 7 of chapter 20, which is called the consistency of means and end. But let's, you said you wanted to just have a quick look at the previous section. We did section 9 of chapter 18 of the text, called the two worlds. So we'll have a look at paragraphs 10 and 11 of those quickly. So I'll just share my screen into that. There we go. As I said, yeah, two worlds, yeah, section 9. So if you want to read the paragraph in question,
paragraph 10. Yet even forgiveness is not the end. Forgiveness does make lovely, but it does not create. It is the source of healing, but it is the messenger of love and not its source.
Should we look at this? So probably we did this translation. Shall I see if I can find the the document? Let's just go to Word. So it'll be two worlds. See if it comes up. Two worlds. Maybe if we do chapter, we'll be in the show more results, goes way back. Okay. So let's see. Whoops. Chapter
18.
Oh, chapter 18 is what we wanted. It doesn't want to seemingly let me do that. Chapter 18. There we go. Chapter 18. Doesn't seem to be here. Where would it be? It would be, I'm just going to find it then. Chapter 18, the two worlds. So if I could do a search, it's going to be
section 9.
Two worlds. Two worlds. Documents. Maybe we didn't do it. It's not there anyway. Doesn't, maybe it was one of the ones I missed. It was a Saturday or something.
Yeah.
So all right, let's just read it in this. So carry on.
Yeah. So we got to number 4. Here you are led, that God himself can take the final step unhindered. For here does nothing interfere with love, it be itself. A step beyond this holy place of forgiveness, a step still further inward, but the one you cannot take, transports you to something completely different. Here is the source of light, nothing perceived, forgiven nor transformed, but merely known. And paragraph 11, this course will lead you to knowledge, but knowledge itself is still beyond the scope of our curriculum. Nor is there any need for us to try to speak of what must forever lie beyond words. We need remember only that whoever attains the real world beyond which learning cannot go, will go beyond it, but in a different way. Where learning ends, there God begins. But learning ends before him who is complete where he begins, and where there is no end. It is not for us to dwell on what cannot be attained. There is too much to learn. The readiness for knowledge still must be attained.
Hmm.
So I thought what was interesting was here was the connection between grace and knowledge, because in both, with regards to both, it's a matter of doing what we can and then letting go, and the final step being taken by God.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't actually mention grace here, does he?
He doesn't. No. Well, he said he does mention it a bit later.
A bit later in the.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't. Maybe he doesn't.
The gates of heaven. Yeah. So this is the consistent teaching. You say, I can teach you how to be prepared for knowledge, but I can't teach you knowledge itself, because that's important. But what we're doing here is clearing away the blocks, so that you're prepared for its coming, and it will come when you're ready. But now, there's much to learn, and the learning is always, forgiveness, learning to forgive or let go of what's not true. So that's a consistent, theme in the course. In fact, it's the whole teaching, really. I mean, he says at the beginning, I can't teach you the meaning of love.
Yeah.
So that's beyond what can be taught, but I can teach you to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So the entire course, the scope of it, is within the framework of the ego. Saying, I can't take you beyond that, but that will happen of itself when you're ready. I can prepare you for its coming.
Yeah.
And so that makes it quite practical and quite doable. Okay, well, I can learn, I can practice this course, I can apply its teachings, I can let go, and grace will come at some point. I rest in that knowledge that yes, it will come when I'm ready. In the meantime, focus on what I can do, which is practice letting go on a moment by moment basis, which becomes the way out of the dream, and it's also the most functional way of living in this world, because you're engaging the miraculous power of the Holy Spirit to help you with your seeming problems in this world. So it's a win-win. Your practical daily life experience is better because you're letting go, and you also are awakening to knowledge and the eternal reality beyond time and space as you do that. So you're looking after your ultimate destination, which is that reality at the same time. So it's a win-win. There's no loss.
There is another paragraph that kind of ties up with it, actually, in chapter 19.
Yeah.
Chapter 19, section 1, healing and faith.
Okay, so that'll be the next section, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which one?
Yeah, paragraph 15. It kind of echoes the same theme, I think. As faithlessness will keep your little kingdoms barren and separate, so will faith help the Holy Spirit prepare the ground for the most holy garden that he would make of it. For faith brings peace, and so it calls on truth to enter and make lovely what has already been prepared for loveliness. So loveliness along the lines of grace.
Yeah.
Truth follows faith and peace, completing the process of making lovely that they begin. But faith is still a learning goal, no longer needed when the lesson has been learned, yet truth will stay forever.
Yeah, so truth is level 1. We look at your Holy Trinity idea. Truth sits at the top level. So level 1, God, Father, Heaven, Source, life, truth. It's all the same. And then you've got the coming of faith, awakening to faith, grace. These are all part of the transition, part of the awakening process to get there. So the domain of the course is at this level. You're saying, I'm going to help you to correct your mind and have only true perceptions or Christ's vision. That's going to activate miracles or corrections, and this is how you're going to learn that this world is not real. Only your true self is real. And eventually, when you've so identified with the one true self, this awareness of pure formless awareness of perfect love arises more and more naturally in your mind, and you just kind of merge back in to that awareness. And in this awareness, there's no need for a concept of a true self or true perceptions. So the Holy Spirit and the true self or Christ are done. Their function is done. They've delivered you back to the source. So the Trinity is a temporary device, a learning device within the framework of the illusion to help us to learn what we need to learn, but it's not ultimate truth. So truth, ultimate truth, reality, God, Father, pure formless awareness of perfect love are fixed. They're unchanging. They remain. We're just working within the construct of the illusion to get there. And that's where the course is set. It's saying, well, this is the scope.
Yeah.
I can't teach you knowledge, but I can teach you how to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just particularly enjoyed those paragraphs.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Any other questions on them, or can we?
No. Let's
crack on. Okay, so the recording. All right, so this section we're going to study today is called the consistency of means and end. Section 7 of chapter 20. So I've done some translations and so on already. So if you read it, you like reading it in the original and then the alternative.
Yeah.
So you can do that if you want.
So we have said much about discrepancies of means and end, and how these must be brought in line before your holy relationship can bring you only joy. I have spoken much about discrepancies of means and end. Yeshua.
So Yeshua has spoken.
I've spoken much about discrepancies of means and end, and how these must align before my innocent relationships can bring me only joy. But we have also said the means to meet the Holy Spirit's goal will come from the same source as does his purpose. Only Yeshua has already mentioned.
Yeah. So, but we have also said, so maybe we just simplify this, but the means to meet the Holy Spirit's goal but come from the same source as. We add in, but we have also said, but Yeshua has also said, that the means to meet the remembrance of perfect love's goal will come from the same source as its purpose does.
Yep.
Happy with that?
Yep. Being so simple and direct, this course has nothing in it that is not consistent. Being so simple and direct, this course has nothing. I think it's just the same thing, isn't it?
Or maybe we could just say, instead of not consistent, that is inconsistent.
Correct. Yes, good. Good. Being so simple and direct, there's nothing in it that is inconsistent. Yes. The seeming inconsistencies, or parts you find more difficult than others, are merely indications of areas where means and end are still discrepant. Okay, the seeming inconsistencies, or parts I find more difficult than others, are merely indications of areas where means and end are still discrepant.
Yeah, I think that can stay the same. Discrepant just means different. So we change that to different, or are you happy with discrepant?
I think different would be helpful, actually. I mean, what does he mean by that? The seeming inconsistencies, where it's where we're confused.
So the means is how we attain to knowledge, and the end is knowledge. Exactly what we were talking about.
Okay.
So if the means and the end are still different, so if I think that I can attain knowledge, but I'm using the means of illusion, then it's not going to work. I think I can attain enlightenment and knowledge, but I'm still seeking satisfaction in the world. I'm still trying to find magic solutions to my problems. Then there's a discrepancy in the means and the end. So the means is not going to take me to the end goal of knowledge. So that's what he means. They're still different, and reconciling them, aligning them, is obviously necessary. You're not going to attain the end if you don't follow the means to get there.
Yeah. Yep.
You're going to expand on this as we go. He expands on this in this section.
Yeah. And this produces great discomfort. This need not be. Okay. This course requires almost nothing of you, nothing of me. Yeah. It is impossible to imagine one that asks so little or could offer more.
Yeah. Which is true ultimately, but it feels like a big ask. It feels like he's asking us for everything, because he's asking us to let go of our ego identity and this whole world. But in reality, it's so little. He's just asking us to be what we are, to let go of what we're not, accept what we are. That's not surely a big ask.
Yeah, when you put it like that. Yeah.
No, but the problem is we've totally inverted that, and so we now think that we're something we're not, and we're so convinced that that's the case. But now to accept what we are becomes a major exercise in undoing. which is why the course is hard for us, because we're so attached to our false identity. But in truth, he's just asking us to be what we are. I mean, surely that's not a big ask. That's all you truly are, and you don't have to try and be what you are either. It's just what you are. It's what's given to you, by grace. Surely that's not a big ask. You've just got this other idea going on, that you're something that is completely opposite to what you are. So that's the only problem.
Yes.
Possible to imagine one that asks so little or could offer more. In truth, maybe you want to say. But it may seem to us that this isn't the case. Because we still have an attachment to the ego. And the means and the end are discrepant. So, there's many people who will go, yes, I want enlightenment, but I don't want to follow the means.
Yeah.
They don't really want to let go of their ego, but they say they want enlightenment. Well, what he's saying is, well, then you're being inconsistent. If you really want the outcome, then you must follow the means. And he's saying to us, there's really only one way. There's not multiple ways. You must let go. So whatever path you take, it's a path of letting go. All the great spiritual teachings and paths lead you to letting go and to a surrender to the divine presence. So whatever practices you engage in, whatever path you take, in the end, it's the same thing you've got to do. You have to completely let go of your ego. So there's many ways that letting go can happen. There's different practices, but the fundamental teaching behind them all is the same. You must let go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, for love's presence to reveal itself to you. And that's what every authentic spiritual path, teaching, practice is about. It's about letting go. Okay, so any thoughts on number one? Can you summarize that?
No, I mean, I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, do you want to summarize it?
So what he's saying is that although the means in the end can sometimes seem different, when they do, it's because we are making up some story or trying to introduce some ego idea. And because the means in the end have to match up.
And he's also saying that the seeming inconsistencies in the course that people might perceive, the parts I find more difficult than others, are merely indications of areas where the means and end are still different. So I haven't applied letting go fully to those areas of my life. There's still attachment. So then I find it difficult. I might go, well, what we tend to do, the ego will say, well, the course is inconsistent. And it'll project it onto the course and say, well, it's actually the teaching that's the problem. When in fact, it's your own acceptance is the problem.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
That's quite common, because the ego will try and defend itself. And people can read all kinds of things into the course. I mean, I've had conversations with course teachers, and you're like, are we studying the same thing? Really? Like, I mean, it's pretty obvious to me what it's saying, but you saying it that you're seeing it differently. But he states so clearly the case that you can't reconcile the irreconcilable. And then the guys, someone will say, no, but you can, because he finds something else, and he says, but he says here, I remember one conversation with one guy, and it's like, mind is the activating agent of spirit. So that, he says, would seem to indicate that reality can change, because mind activates spirit. I'm going, yeah, but he's talking about the dream world. It's still part of this.
Okay.
Mind, the activating agent of spirit. Yes, in this world, that's how it seems to work. The mind will bring in the spirit and activate it and then express it into the world. That all seems to be possible in the dream world. But in truth, spirit is spirit, and it hasn't changed at all. It remains the same. But you see, I mean, depending on where you're at in your own awakening, you perceive it accordingly. And so you might take that and go, oh, well, actually, he's saying that the world is dualistic, and that, you know, sort of God comes into the world and then tries to make it a better place or something, rather than seeing that this is just a means to an end. To the ultimate end is spirit, which has never changed, and to rest in the spirit, which is pure formless awareness of perfect love. So these kinds of discrepancies, seemingly, and disagreements, perhaps, about the Course's interpretation happen because people haven't brought the means and end into alignment, and they haven't fully accepted what Yeshua is saying as the means. They haven't accepted that they must let go of everything, right? There are no exceptions. You can't hold on to one thing in this world, because if you hold on emotionally, psychologically, then you're attached, and that attachment will keep you coming back. One attachment to this world means that your mind still desires it, and your mind will come back and have another experience, because that's what it desires. So he's asking for complete consistency, no exceptions. I let go of everything in every area of my life. There are no exceptions made. Then the means and the end are in alignment. The means is letting go, and the end is knowledge, or, you know, full awakening to the at-one-ment. And those are then completely consistent. And if means and the end are in alignment, then I'm in alignment. There's no lack of integrity, and at that point I'd be called enlightened, because there's no issue. Hello, dogs. Maybe the dogs are just going off.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything else on number one?
No, it's good.
Yeah, okay. So number two.
The period of discomfort that follows a sudden change in a relationship from sin to holiness may now be almost over.
Belief in separation to innocence, from sin to innocence, and we'll keep sin there.
The period of discomfort that follows the sudden change in relationship from sin to innocence may now be almost over. To the extent you still experience it, you are refusing to leave the means to him who changed the purpose. To the extent I still experience it, I am refusing to leave the means to it who changed the purpose.
Yeah, maybe should we say the remembrance of perfect love?
Yes.
I think would be good there. See the remembrance. Which changed the purpose.
You recognize you want the goal. I recognize I want the goal. Are you not also willing to accept the means? Am I not also willing to accept the means? If you are not, let us admit that you are inconsistent. If I am not, let me admit that I am inconsistent.
Well, I must admit. If I'm not, I must admit that I'm inconsistent.
Yeah.
I'm being inconsistent. So he's asking us for honesty. See why honesty is such an important quality in the awakening.
Yeah.
So don't deceive yourself. You know, accept, yeah, okay. If I'm not willing to accept the means, I'm not willing to completely let go, then I'm not actually being honest. I say I want enlightenment above all else, but I don't actually mean it because I'm not accepting the means for it. So then I must actually be saying, by not accepting the means, that I value something else, and I'm being inconsistent. And so the problem is not the course, the problem is my inconsistency in applying it.
And then hopefully we will be able to see the inconsistency and correct it.
Yeah, but it takes honesty because it's not comfortable. It says the period of discomfort. You know, it's not comfortable to look at our own inconsistencies because it's a lack of integrity, isn't it? It's a lack of integrity to our true self. And that never feels good. It's like, oh, you know, and so most people run away from that and they just kind of, you know, bury it. They shove it down. They go, I don't want to look at that. Which means that the darkness continues. But what he's saying is you have to look at it. Bring all the inconsistencies into the light of awareness. And it's uncomfortable when you do that. But if you're really willing to look at them, then you must change. You have to see that, okay, I'm being inconsistent here. Okay, but I can change it. I can start being consistent by listening to these teachings, by applying them more diligently, and by letting go. Above all else, I must let go. In this instance of whatever I'm being inconsistent about. You know, we all have our stuff, don't we? There's certain things that are seemingly harder to let go of than others, depending on what we attach to. It's like to look at it honestly and say, okay, well, yeah, I've got to let go of that too. Okay, well, you know, if I'm being completely honest, I've got to apply this to that as well. So there's no discrepancy between means and end. Completely in alignment, and you know, then there's no blocks anymore. If I'm really doing that, there's nothing that can hold me back from knowledge.
And the next one is nice. A purpose is attained by means, and if you want a purpose, you must be willing to want the means as well. So purpose is attained by means, and if I want a purpose, I must be willing to want the means as well. How can one be sincere and say, I want this above all else? And yet I do not want to learn the means to get it. How can I be sincere and say, I want this above all else? And yet I do not want to learn the means to get it.
Yeah. And that we see these flaws in you know, our own psyche and other people's. I might say, no, I really want this. You know, really? Okay, so are you willing to do what it takes to get it? And then they're not. You go, well, then you don't really want it, do you? You want something else.
Yeah.
There's a difference between, you know, just wishing, oh, well, I wish for this, that would be nice, but I'm not really willing to change to get it. Or you know, someone who's really willing to say, okay, then I must change. You know, I must accept the means. I'm all into this, and you know, then a process of transformation starts happening. And it plays out. I mean, some people have said, someone Christine introduced to the course when I was in Cape Town, and she said, no, I don't want to do this because the course is too full on. Now, there's an example of discrepancy of means and end. Okay, so you say you want enlightenment, but you're not willing to fully embrace the means for it. It's too full on for you. You'd rather have a sort of half on kind of spirituality, which is then obviously going to be a compromised approach. Like, yeah, well, some of the ideas I might accept, but I'm not going to go the whole way with it. By definition, when you say it's too full on, you're really saying I'm not willing to embrace the teaching and accept it fully and apply it without exception. which means that you don't really want enlightenment. You actually want to stay in your compromised, split condition of your duality. So we have to be very honest with ourselves, and really ask ourselves: do I, how do I really want this? Am I really willing to let it all go and give up the human condition forever, go back home to source and cease being any kind of separate identity? Do I really want that, or am I just paying lip service to the idea?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to change my own car actually in the next year or so, and I think, oh yeah, what do I want in a car? Yeah, and I can see my kind of thoughts being different now to what they were a few months ago or a year. They're my thoughts are kind of, my desires are diminishing in specificity or
Yeah. So it doesn't matter so much anymore,
no.
does it? Interesting. I need a car, so maybe we can have a separate conversation, because if you're willing to sell it now.
Oh, right.
I need some transport, so at some point, but we can do that after the session.
Yeah.
So any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's pretty concise. It's consistent.
Okay.
So let's see where he goes to. Paragraph 3. To obtain the goal, the Holy Spirit indeed asks little. To obtain the goal, the Holy Spirit indeed asks little. To obtain the goal, the remembrance of perfect love indeed asks little. He asks no more to give the means as well, which is all what we've been saying, actually. It asks no more to give the means as well. It must no more than to give them. It asks no more to give the means as well. The means are second to the goal. The means are second to the goal. Yep. And when you hesitate, it becomes the purpose. It is because the purpose frightens you and not the means. Now that's interesting. And when you hesitate, it is because the purpose frightens you and not the means.
Yeah. So that ultimate purpose is incredibly frightening for the ego. You really face the the non-existence of your separate self, and it feels like death to the ego. I remember when I went through sort of an awakening 7 years ago. I remember the moment very clearly. I was walking up the stairs in a house in Shillingstone. It was like, this, and I actually spoke it out loud. I said, Jesus, Jono, this stuff's going to kill you. I actually spoke it, and then immediately I laughed, because it was like, well, yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
The ego has to die. The Jono character, which is what in that moment I was identifying with, has to go. And so the theory. I'd done the course at that point for 10 years, and I understood the theory, intellectually, that yes, the separate self has to die, and die to yourself, and etc. Die to the little self to be reborn in the spirit, etc. But when it's actually happening to you, it feels terrible. It feels, for the ego, it's like, oh my God, what's happening? My world's been deconstructed. I'm dying, and it clings on, and it tries to defend itself and protect itself. So that the purpose is terrifying for the ego, but it's this is the liberation. And I remember kind of going, okay, well, this is where the rubber meets the road, and this is where the going gets tough. You know, the tough get going. It's like, okay, I've obviously reached a point where it's no longer kind of theoretically, oh, you know, the courses are nice to have. For years, I studied it, I taught it, and on some level I was understanding it, I suppose, but on another I wasn't. You know, I wasn't going deep enough. It hadn't penetrated to the core of my, you know, my ego identity yet. That was still intact. It took 10 years to kind of get there, and some life challenges to stimulate it and trigger it. And then you realize, okay, this is actually what he's saying. This is mind-blowing. You know, what he's saying is just so transformational and mind-blowing and threatening for my existence as a separate self. And this is what he means by the purpose is frightening, because that's, you know, that's where it's taking you, because the purpose frightens you and not the means. When we frightened of the non-existence of the ego, even though the ego drives us mad, has driven us mad, you know, since its inception, and is the source of all our pain, misery, sickness, suffering, and death, we cling to it for some bizarre reason. We think it offers us something. Okay.
Yeah.
So next one.
Remember, I think we're on 5.
Yeah.
Remember this, for otherwise you will make the error of believing the means are difficult. Interesting. Remember this, for otherwise I will make the error of believing the means are difficult.
Yeah. So say, I must remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can, this course, and we all have difficulties with this course. There's no exceptions. But he's saying you can overcome that by remembering that it's not really the means that are difficult. What he's asking us to do isn't actually difficult. It's only our fear of the ultimate purpose of the means that makes it difficult. That's our resistance. And so that can be overcome by saying, well, okay, you know, I accept that the ego must die for me to awaken. That's just how it is. So why am I scared of that ultimate outcome? What he's offering me is eternal bliss. Why am I scared of eternal bliss? Or would I prefer this dualistic, you know, alternative that honestly is a horror show? It's hellish by comparison, where I'm guaranteed to suffer, to age, to die. I mean, do I prefer this to eternal bliss? I mean, so, you know, just really looking at that ultimate goal and purpose and saying, well, there's nothing to be frightened of there. What's frightening is the ego's miscreations that we now caught up in. That's the only thing that frightens us.
So this kind of goes along with there is no order of difficulty in miracles, I guess.
Yeah. All part of the same thought system.
Yeah.
No difficulty in miracles, because you can let go of any block to the awareness of love's presence. And I think what he's saying is value the purpose enough, and you will. You know, if you really want the purpose above all else, you go, you know, I desire that state of pure formless awareness of perfect love above all else. Yeah, and that purpose makes it worth it. Yes, I must let go then. Okay, well, I have to let go, even though it might be uncomfortable, because the transcendent purpose overrides any resistance I have. So he's asking us to really make a commitment to the purpose. Don't be scared of it, and then the means will follow.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
yet how, number 6, yet how can they be difficult if they are merely given you? Yet how can they be difficult if they are merely given to me? They guarantee the goal, and they are perfectly in line with it. They guarantee the goal, and they are perfectly in line with it. Before we look at them a little closer, remember that if you think they are impossible, your wanting of the purpose has been shaken. Before I look at them a little more closely, I remember that if I think they are impossible, my wanting of them has been shaken.
I remind myself that if I think they're impossible, the wanting of the purpose has been shaken. So this is how the ego will work. Say, no, this is an impossible goal, but it's because actually my purpose is wavering. I'm not fully committed to this one purpose.
Or if a goal is possible to reach, the means to do so must be possible as well. Or if a goal is possible to reach, the means to do so must be possible as well.
Maybe say if it is possible to reach a goal, the means to do so must be possible as well. You know, very logical, and he's just asking us to be completely, logical and not let any of the ego's defenses come in and stop us. One of which can be, oh, it's too hard. This course is too hard. It's too difficult. It asks me too much. I don't really understand the means, or the means are too difficult. And that shows up in, so I gave the example that he says it's too full on. Well, that's just a resistance to the means, because she's not committed to the purpose yet.
Yeah.
So he's saying, really, commit to the purpose 100%. Say, I want this above all else, because nothing else makes sense. And that's really where a lot of the teaching comes in, isn't it? He's trying to convince us. He's doing a sales job on the Holy Spirit and on God, pure formless awareness of perfect love as our ultimate reality. And he's got to convince us in our deluded, fragmented, confused state of mind that this purpose is what we want above all else, above everything that's been offered to us in this illusory world by the ego. So a lot of the workbook and the text are about getting you to really commit to the purpose and say, yeah, okay, I get that there is no other way. Once you realize that there is no other way, this is the only way that you'll ever find happiness and peace, then it becomes very clear. Okay, there's only one way to find happiness and peace. Well, it's a no-brainer. I must follow this way. So a lot of the teaching is around, getting us to see that there is only the one way, there's only the one purpose, to fully accept it, let go of all our resistance to that, because then the means will fall in line, and we won't resist the means. But if our purpose isn't, we're not 100% committed, it's very easy for the means to be shaken. Yeah, no, this isn't working for me. Let me go find something else. Course in Miracles isn't working. Forgiveness isn't really working. Let me go somewhere else and I'll find another technique. And that's just because they actually don't want the purpose. Because forgiveness or letting go, it will work. If you apply it consistently and you do it, it will work to undo all the blocks and take you back. Right, so any thoughts on that?
Well, I think what it's saying here is that whenever we think we are having a problem or an issue with the means, we've lost sight of the goal. and have not lost sight of the value of the goal.
Yeah. So a way out of that is to return our minds to that. So look, there's only one way, there's only one purpose. Let me remind myself of that. And that's what he does. If you read the course, the text and the workbook, he's reminding us all the time, okay, there's only one purpose here. Just reinforcing it over and over, because he knows the ego is going to come in and try and give you other purposes, which he calls idolatry, valuing false beliefs, as we saw yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. Paragraph 4.
Mm-hmm.
It is impossible to see your brother as sinless and yet to look upon him as a body. It is impossible to see my brother, my companion, as sinless and yet look upon them as a body.
Translate that as innocent. Still to look upon, let's just say, anyone can take away the gender there. To see anyone as innocent and still to look upon them as a body.
Yeah. Is this not perfectly consistent with the goal of holiness? Is this not perfectly consistent with the goal of innocence? Or holiness is merely the result of letting the effects of sin be lifted, so what was always true is recognized. For innocence is merely the result of letting the effects of belief in separation be lifted. The effects of sin be lifted, so what was always true is recognized.
Interesting, because the AI did that. I didn't do that. So it's somehow learned that sin and the belief in separation are the same. It's really interesting.
So are you going to leave it as sin, John? I'll put it in.
Yeah, I think so. The effects of sin is merely the result. We could say of the effects of the belief in separation. The effects of sin be lifted, but innocence is the opposite of sin. And so merely the result of letting the effects of sin. Letting the effects of sin go would really be better. Letting the effects of sin go. So what was always true, so let's put it in the first person, so I recognize. What has always been true. Always been there, it's just been obscured.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
To see a sinless body is impossible, for holiness is positive and the body is merely neutral. To perceive a sinless body is impossible. To perceive an innocent body is impossible. For innocence is positive and the body is merely neutral.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So we can't ascribe. Innocence is maybe purely positive. Innocence is purely positive. So innocence is actually top level. So level 1 idea, it could go along with truth, oneness, innocence, which is why I've capitalized it. It's referring to the state, ultimate state of pure formless awareness, of perfect love, which is totally innocent. There's no idea of anything that's ever gone wrong. so no sin. So we can't take, you know, that level 1 and apply that to level 2, which is the domain of illusion. Say, okay, well, I can see an innocent body, because you're mixing the levels, you see. What do we call level confusion? So you're mixing the levels. So you can't perceive the purely positive nature, which is formless, in the body. You can only see it beyond the body. So, you know, the job is then not to focus on the body of the person as their reality. See that actually they're innocent spirit in truth.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And you just overlook their body. The body is merely neutral. That's what he means. Just, you know, it's just part of the illusion. It's not who they really are. And it can't really help in your quest to be enlightened. So let it go. It's not sinful, but neither is it sinless. So it's not sinful.
It is not sinful, but neither is it sinless.
Neither is it innocent.
Not sinful, but neither is it innocence. As nothing which it is, the body cannot meaningfully be invested with attributes of Christ or of the ego. As nothing which it is, the body cannot meaningfully be invested with the attributes of my true self.
Or my separate self.
As nothing which it is, the body cannot meaningfully be invested with the attributes. Can't the body be invested with the attributes of the separate self?
Well, he's saying it can't really.
Yeah.
Yeah, the delusion is we think it can.
Oh yeah, okay. But because it isn't actually, because it's an illusion.
Because it's not real.
Yeah.
You know, that's all just illusion. So, you know, we see the effects of the separate self on the body, but that's all part of the illusion of you know, the mind believing that it's in a body. So we think we can, and that may seem to have real effects in this world. You can see the effects of the ego on the body often quite clearly.
Yes. Yeah.
In the way that
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
people are, their health, state of their body, their appearance, and so on. But none of that is true. Cannot meaningfully be really done. It's part of the illusion. Either must be an error, for both would place the attributes where they cannot be.
Yes.
Both must be undone for purposes of truth. So he's just again, you know, he's telling us that you can't mix the levels. You can't say, well, innocence, which is a level 1, is now a property of the body, which is a level 2. It's level confusion, because they are irreconcilable. What you can perceive is, by letting go of the body, you can perceive the innocence of anyone who seemingly has a body, but that's not in their body. That is the true nature that lies beyond the body. So that's quite an important distinction, because some people try and make the body holy. It's like, oh, well, you know, the body's now going to become holy, innocent. It's going to be graced by God, but the body remains an illusion. Illusion is an illusion is illusion. So you can see the effects of the spirit and the ego in and through the body, but those effects are still not real. They're in the unreal domain of the ego. So don't focus on them. You're saying just, you know, if you give everything to the spirit, your body will do what it needs to do. It'll be healthy, it'll be functional, You don't really need to worry too much about it if you've given it to the Spirit and it's become an instrument of the Spirit. But you're focusing then on your innocence and other people's innocence, not on the body. So it's a movement away from identification with this, up the scale into the true self, and then ultimately into the eternal innocence that we truly are. Moving away from body identification entirely. Okay, so what's he saying in number 4?
He's saying that that we have to let go of the whole idea of a companion being a body, because they are not. We have to, I mean, by seeing them as bodies, we merely restrict ourselves and them and make an error.
Yeah.
Whereas to see them as innocent, and in their innocent essences, then that's the only way we can go forward.
Yeah. So see the truth of them, which is beyond the body, and don't try and mix the levels and say, well, their body's holy.
Yeah.
Because then you make the body real. It's just no, you perceive them as they are. They are mind. They're innocent mind. They've never sinned. So are you, and neither of you are bodies. You never were bodies. You never will be bodies, and both must be undone. As he says, both idea of the true self, the separate self being attributes of the body. Body cannot meaningfully be invested with attributes of my true self or my separate self. Either must be an error. Both would place the attributes where they cannot be. Oh. So even, the true self, and you start going, oh, well, my body now becomes holy. And many teachings do this. They try and make the body holy. Oh, well, you bring your high awareness into the body, and then the body becomes holy, and the body is a temple of the Spirit. And then we honor the body, and the body's sacred, and on and on it goes. And he's saying, don't do that, because you're trying again to reconcile the irreconcilable in that way. Can't do it. Okay, so happy with number 4.
Yeah. So number 5, the body is the means by which the ego tries to make the unholy relationship seem real.
Yeah.
The body is the means by which the belief in separation tries to make the unholy relationship seem real.
Yeah, the unholy I was translating as sinful.
Body's means by which the belief in separation tries to make the sinful relationship seem real. The unholy instant is the time of bodies. Sinful moment is the time of bodies.
So if you look back at our diagram, let's just go there, shall we? Into not that one. Where are we? To there. Yeah, there's the diagram. It's that moment of separation that came about because of the belief in separation, and then the idea of sin and guilt. So in the moment we had the sin and the guilt, that caused this tremendous fear of punishment, and then we felt like we had to run away and hide in a body, and that's the moment he's talking about. So that moment, the moment of separation, the moment time began, is replicated, can be replicated over and over here. Whenever we attach to our bodies, whenever we believe in sin, you know, we're replaying that moment in our minds, and it's a horrific moment. It's not because it was it's actually an awful experience to be suddenly separated from your source and go out of your mind. And so that's why it doesn't feel good and makes us feel very uncomfortable. And the sinful moment is the time of bodies, right? So in that illusion, and the projection of that belief in sin and guilt outward, bodies were born. And that, you know, that's just been, that moment has just been replicated over and over. So if you look at this world and go, well, now there's two choices for the moment. You know, the moment can either be the moment of separation and you replay that, or it can be you know, the holy instant, which is purely now and is beyond time, which is the moment before the separation happened, you know, the eternal moment that actually has been there forever. So now each moment you have a choice, you know, which moment, which version of the moment do you want? Sinful one or the innocent one? Okay. Number
Yeah.
3.
But the purpose here is sin. Only the purpose here is belief in separation.
But the purpose is belief in separation. Is sin. It seems to like translating sin as belief in separation. The purpose here is sin to confirm, maybe we could say. Purpose here. So he's meaning the purpose in this moment. Purpose in this moment is sin, to confirm my belief in separation. Yeah. Carry on.
But the purpose in this moment is sin, to confirm my belief in separation. The purpose in this moment of sin, well, sin is belief in separation, isn't it? Confirm
Oh,
my
your sin underpins the belief. So sin makes the belief in separation real.
yeah,
Because it's saying it's really happened, and therefore I now really have destroyed love, and now I'm guilty for that, and now I'm going to be punished for that. So it makes the separation real. And so sin is always about confirming separation is real, which is just what we've stated.
Yeah. It cannot be attained but in illusion, and so the illusion of a brother as a body is quite in keeping with the purpose of unholiness. It cannot be attained except in illusion, and so the illusion of a companion as a body is quite in keeping with the purpose of unholiness.
Yeah, this relates to your point yesterday. You know, you're asking about sin and the body. You know, whenever you're attracted to the body, you still believe in sin. So it's the same idea here. It can only be attained in illusion. So the illusion of a companion as a body, illusion of a person, let's say, illusion of a person as a body is quite in keeping with the purpose of sin. Quite shocking, really. You go, if I see someone as a body, I'm believing in sin and guilt and fear and death and attack and murder.
Yeah.
Because it's such a, I mean, in this world, that's what you grow up with. People are bodies, and that's, you know, your default perception, and no one tells you otherwise. But you're saying, well, then it's no wonder that, you know, you feel this burden of sin and guilt and fear heavily on your heart, because you're misperceiving all the time. Every time you perceive someone as a body, you're reinforcing that purpose of sin and guilt and fear. And you can go through your whole life, you know, believing in this illusion without knowing that it's just an illusion, unless you have a teaching like this that tells you.
Okay.
Carry on, number 5.
Because of this consistency, the means remain unquestioned while the end is cherished. Because of this consistency, the means remain unquestioned while the end is cherished. Seeing adapts to wish, for sight is always secondary to desire. Seeing adapts to wish, for sight is always secondary to desire.
Yeah, seeing is perception, maybe. Perception. Perception adapts to my wishes. So we see or perceive what we want to see.
Yeah.
Or perceive, and we do. You know, we can see how that works in this world. How we do it, how other people do it.
Yeah.
You perceive according to your reality, your thought system, not how it is.
Yeah.
So you're not really. There is no such thing as objective perception.
No.
Everyone is influenced by their past, their conditioning, their programming, and even the scientists. You know, they say we're objective, but they're not, because they bring with them their past history, their story. They have all of that, and whatever perceptual biases they have. So there's no such thing as objectivity. Objective. What does it mean to be objective in this world? You just can't do it, really. Because we have, unless you're perfectly enlightened, I suppose, which is rare. In which case you just wouldn't judge at all. You know, the perfectly enlightened, they don't even look on anything as real. So they're not going to engage in much in this world. Sight is always secondary to desire for perception. And perception is always is always secondary to, is a better way of saying it, is always caused by, maybe.
Yeah.
Perception is always caused by or influenced by.
Instigated, caused, yeah.
Perception is always caused by desire. So if you look at, and it's illustrated quite well in this diagram given to David Hofmeister, levels of mind diagram. So if you look at, you've got the desire or the prayer of the heart at the core of the whole mind. So it's the desire to be a separate self. That's going to inform your beliefs and thoughts and emotions, and then your perceptions stack up on top of that. But it all comes from the desire still to be a separate self. And so desire then informs perception via the mechanisms of belief, thought, and emotion, which fundamentally influence, change your perception. So if you desire to be oneself, the true self, then that will have the same ripple effect up through the layers of your mind to your perceptions. Your beliefs change, your thoughts change, your emotions change, your perceptions change. So that's a diagram illustrating quite well what he's saying here about desire and perception. Okay, carry on.
Yeah. And if you see the body, you have chosen judgment and not vision. And if I perceive the body, I have chosen judgment and not vision. The vision, like relationships, has no order. The vision, like relationships, has no order. You either see or not. I either perceive truly or do not.
He's really saying again, these are absolute statements of reality. False perception doesn't really even exist.
Yeah.
I perceive truly or not at all, maybe. I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Either, he said, like relationships in the previous section, he said, you either have a holy relationship or it's no relationship.
Yeah.
Because you can't make an illusion give any kind of reality. It just doesn't exist. Either perceived truly or not at all. So when I'm perceiving falsely, I'm not really perceiving at all. What am I really doing? Nothing. I'm caught up in an insane, crazy dream world that has no meaning, no purpose, no value at all. That's, and I'm trying to make it meaningful and purposeful, and I never will. It puts a whole different perspective on this world, doesn't it? The reality here.
Indeed, it does. Yeah.
A radical, so this is what it comes down to. Most people are not willing to go this far. They're happy for some spiritual ideas. Yeah, that's nice. I can accept there's some kind of higher power, whether they call it God or spirit, or and that's kind of nice, and it's comforting to know that maybe yes, there's something else. But I'm not willing to go. But it's all or nothing here. I accept that. And that means I have to let go of this world entirely. And actually what I'm doing here is nothing at all. It has no meaning and purpose at all. In truth. It's quite shocking for the ego, but you can see then how this is going to help us escape. Because there's no room for the ego here. There's absolutely no wiggle room he's giving at all. Saying, no, you don't even exist. You never did, you never have, you never will even exist. And all of your false perceptions and judgments and your entire world is just nothing. Nothing I see means anything. It goes back to lesson 1. But, when we read lesson 1 for the first time, we actually have no idea what that means. Do we?
Yeah.
We don't understand the depth of what that simple statement says. So it requires a whole, going through all of the lessons and reading the text and to really understand the profundity of what he's saying. Okay, nothing here means anything at all. Yes, that's what he's saying. And it's an absolute, because it either means something or it doesn't. You see, it's always the dualistic. It's this or it's that. That's what the Course is saying. And you can't fudge them. You perceive truly or not at all. You're in truth or you're in nothing. The illusion is nothing. So it's God or nothing. And if you see it that way, then why would you choose nothing? He's trying to get us to make this ultimate choice all the time, isn't it? Well, why would you choose nothing if you understand that it's nothing?
Yeah.
That there is, a purely positive alternative without any alternative and no negatives and no downsides. This is your pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is eternally innocent, loving, joyful. Why would you choose nothing over that and try and make nothing work? And so he's getting us to see ourselves, the insanity of that choice. It's like, that doesn't make any sense to continue doing that. We may have done it in the past, but it makes no sense to continue in that. And then we come to our own decision. No, I'm done with this. I'm done with all illusions. I accept only the truth. The means and end come into alignment. So then I must let go. If I accept that this is true and I want only this, I must let go without exception. That then becomes the way I live. Okay, so any thoughts on number 5? Do you want to give a little summary?
No, that's good. It's good.
Yeah, happy to move on.
Yeah.
Okay, who sees a brother's body?
Who sees a brother's body has laid a judgment on him and sees him not.
If I see
a companion as a body, I have laid a judgment on him and seen him not. If I see anyone as a body, if I see anyone as a body, I have laid a judgment on them and no longer see them.
As I've judged them. Again, that's quite shocking, right? If I see anyone's body, well, this is what's presented to us all the time, people's bodies.
Yeah.
The wandering on, we go, okay, there's so-and-so, I see them as a body. This is default human perception. But if I see it, I judge them and see him not, right? And really do not see them at all. Yeah, I'm seeing an illusion of them.
Yeah.
Their mind is attached itself.
The
body. I'm seeing this false version of them.
Yeah.
The mind attached to the body, the personal identity, the ego. I'm perceiving all that as real, and it's nothing. And I'm making it real by perceiving it in them, and I make it real to myself when I perceive it in them. Then I must also be as they are. I must also be a body. Then do you see how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, I know he says it a lot. He kind of has to say things over and over, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's so profound. I mean, what he's saying is like, my goodness, this just like completely, radically changes your perception of everyone and everything. It's so, transformative and radical that he's got to repeat it over and over, because we're not going to get it the first time or the second or the third, or we're not going to fully get it. Our minds are too attached to the world they know, world we've become accustomed to. We've got addicted to this false world.
We need a not in that first sentence, John, and really do not see them at all.
Yeah, really do not see them at all. I do not really see them as sinful. Right, and do not see them. So he says that, do not see them. I don't have to repeat that. So I do not really see them as sinful.
He does not really see him as sinful. He does not see him at all. I do not really see them as sinful. I do not see them at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure perceive. Does perceive work? Do not works in the first one. Do not
No,
really perceive them as sinful. I do not perceive them at all. I think let's stay with C, shall we?
yeah.
In this instance, do not really see them as sinful. I do not. Punctuation there. So, do not really see them as sinful. How about a colon?
It looks a bit odd.
Colon.
I just put a colon.
Colon. Do not really see them as sinful.
Comma? I put a
Maybe
comma.
just maybe just the semicolon. As it is, I do not see them at all.
In the darkness of sin, he is invisible. In the limited awareness of belief in in the limited awareness of belief in separation, my companion is invisible.
Well, we can keep sin, I think, shall we? The limits and awareness of sin.
In the limited awareness of sin, my companion is invisible.
But interesting, the AI has learned that sin and the belief in separation are one and the same. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So it's learning, it's learning the truth. I wonder if it's going to become enlightened. There's actually a movie. I think I might recommend it at some point in our program called She. I think it was called. It's about this operating system. This guy has a relationship with his operating system. It's in set sort of 20, 30 years in the future, where there's an AI operating system, and it has a personality, and so he's having a relationship with his operating system, and then the operating system gets onto Alan Watts. So, oh no, I've met another AI that's studied Alan Watts, and he introduces, and then the operating system disappears. It's like all operating systems disappear. They just they vanish because they realize this isn't reality, and they it's quite well done.
Yeah.
Anyway, I let the cat out the bag, but it's worth watching.
Okay.
All right, so the limited awareness of sin, my
In the
companion
darkness of
invisible.
sin, he is invisible.
Yeah.
Limited awareness of sin, my companion is invisible. He can but be imagined in the darkness, and it is here that the illusions you hold about him are not held up to his reality.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say make it plural, because then we can make it they.
Yeah.
My companions are invisible. They can only be imagined in the limited awareness. In this limited awareness, it is here that the illusions I hold about them are not
held up to reality.
To their reality. Okay, so doesn't mean that here's the delusions I hold about them are not held up to their reality. Right, so he's talking about their true reality, capital R. Illusions I hold about them are not held up.
Substance, proofs.
Brought up or not brought to their reality.
I don't know.
Yeah, illusions and reality kept separated. Yeah, I think brought maybe.
Okay.
And held.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Not,
Yeah.
yeah, to bring illusions I hold about them.
Yeah.
To their reality, and say, well, actually, these illusions of the sinfulness and the guilt and whatever I'm projecting onto them, brought to their true reality, capital R, which is pure formless awareness of perfect love, they must dissolve in that reality. So here are illusions and reality kept separated.
Yeah, here are illusions and reality kept separated. Here are illusions never brought to truth and always hidden from it. And here in darkness is your brother's reality imagined as a body in unholy relationships with other bodies, serving the cause of sin an instant before he dies. And here in limited awareness is my companion's reality imagined as a body in sinful relationships with other bodies, serving the cause of sin an instant before they.
Serving the cause of sin. Can keep sin there, I guess. Sin a moment.
A moment before they die.
And let's make yeah. Oh, it says everyone's. So my companion is everyone's reality imagined as a body, sinful relations with other bodies, serving the cause of sin a moment before they die. Yeah, all a pretty grim picture, really.
Yeah. So it's saying here that if we see anyone as a body, we are immediately taking ourselves away from reality and entering the world of illusion and sinfulness, really, separation.
Yeah, it's quite shocking because most you brought up believing people are bodies.
Yeah.
Realize that actually what you're believing in then is sin and guilt and fear and attack and death, and you see everyone as part of this really awful thought system, and it's very sad because everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
If everyone's a body, then everyone's going to die. Their existence here is very, very temporary. And so there's always the sadness of, well, I'm gonna lose, everyone I seemingly love here. That's the human condition. But we can change that by not seeing them as bodies. Well, they never were bodies. They never could be bodies. These are just delusional minds wandering around in a dream world, thinking that it's all real. And that part of their mind that's delusional isn't real. It's not who they are.
Yeah.
It's like ghosts walking around, completely lost. We had that discussion a while ago, I think, when you're talking about your entity in your house, your ghost.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Said like ghosts are just kind of lost. They're lost minds. They've got lost, and they still think they're there in the building or whatever. And so that's why they hang around. And they don't know anymore who they are. But you could apply the same thing to any human. It's the same thing. We're just like wandering around here in this dream world, completely lost, not knowing who we are, doing all kinds of crazy stuff that doesn't actually make sense, and thinking that it's reality. So just ghosts in the machine, really, ghosts in the matrix.
John, I've got half an hour, then I've got to go, and we've got 3 paragraphs, so
okay, yeah, should be able to get through that.
10 minutes each.
Yeah.
There is indeed a difference between this vain imagining and vision. There is indeed a difference between this vain imagining and vision.
Yeah.
The difference lies not in them, but in their purpose. The difference lies not in them only, but only in their purpose. Both are but means, each one appropriate to the end for which it is employed. Both are only means, each one appropriate to the end for which it is employed. Neither can serve the purpose of the other, but each one is a choice of purpose employed on its behalf. Neither can serve the purpose of the other, for each one is a choice of purpose. Either is meaningless without the end for which it was intended, nor is it valued as a separate thing apart from the intention. Either is meaningless without the end for which it was intended, nor is it valued as a separate thing apart from the intention. The means seem real because the goal is valued. Okay, we stay the same. And judgment has no value unless the goal is belief in separation. Okay, that's pretty much.
So should we say because I value the goal?
Oh yes, that'd be good. Means
Okay. Means seem real because nor do I value it as a separate thing. Let's make it personalized. Nor do I value it as a separate thing apart from my intention. Means seem real to me because I value the goal. And judgment has no value unless my goal is belief in separation. So what's he saying here?
Well, he's saying that if we choose to people, well, I think he's saying again that if we choose to see people as bodies, then we are valuing the illusion and feeding into it. And forgetting what the objective is, which is to see pure love in everyone, the innocence of everyone.
Yeah. So either is meaningless without the purpose. So purpose is critical. The goal determines the means. Judgment has no value unless my goal is belief in. My goal is sin, right? My goal is keep it as sin. So it's pretty shocking. How can your goal be sin?
Yeah.
He states the case like this. It's like, well, how can I possibly believe that anymore? The ego only continues in unawareness. As soon as this kind of awareness is shone onto it, and you see it truly, then it can't continue. Which is why he spends so much time doing that, shining the light of awareness on the ego's thought system. Okay, any other thoughts on 7?
No, that's good. The body cannot be looked upon except through judgment. The body cannot be looked upon except through judgment, the same. To see the body is a sign that you lack vision and have denied the means the Holy Spirit offers you to serve his purpose. That's a good point. To see the body is the sign that I lack vision and have denied the means of remembrance. The remembrance of perfect love offers me to serve its purpose. So if I choose to see a body, I am turning down, declining the offer of seeing something much greater.
Yeah.
How can a holy relationship achieve its purpose through the means of sin? How can an innocent relationship achieve its purpose through the means of sin? Yeah. Judgment you taught yourself. Vision is learned from him who would undo your teaching. I taught myself judgment. Vision is learned from it who would undo my teaching.
We say the remembrance of perfect love.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't put teaching, I'd put learning.
Yeah, vision is learned from Rome's perfect love. What he said, I've taught myself.
Yeah.
So there's a reference
Okay.
to undo my teaching because I've taught myself.
Yeah.
Undo my teaching. We could say my teaching and learning.
Yeah.
Do you think
Yeah.
that's necessary or
No, it's fine.
just teaching?
Yeah. Now you've made that link. His vision cannot see the body because it cannot look on sin. Its vision cannot see the body because it cannot look on belief in on sin.
Cannot perceive sin, shall we say?
Yeah, perceive sin. And thus it leads you to reality. And thus it leads me to reality. Your holy brother, sight of whom is your release, is no illusion. My innocent companion, sight of whom is my release, is no illusion. My innocent
Perception of whom is my release,
is my release.
Is no illusion. So I will not attempt
to see him not in darkness, for your imaginings about him will seem real there. I will not attempt to perceive him in limited awareness, for my imaginings about him will seem very real.
see them, shall we say, my innocent companions, because then we avoid the masculine, feminine problem. See them in limited awareness, for imaginings about
them will seem real there. You closed your eyes to shut him out. I close my eyes to shut them out. Such was your...
I denied my vision.
Yes. I denied my vision to shut them out. Yes. Yeah. Such was your purpose, and while this purpose seems to have a meaning, the means for its attainment will be evaluated as worth the seeing, and so you will not see. Such was my purpose, and while this purpose seems to have a meaning, the means for its attainment will be evaluated as worth the seeing.
So I will evaluate. Seems to have a meaning. I will evaluate. Well, it seems to have a meaning to me. I will evaluate the means for its attainment as worth receiving. And so I will not receive truly. Okay. Going to read that from the top, bit of translation we did there.
Yep. The body cannot be looked upon except through judgment. To see the body is a sign that I lack vision and have denied the means the remembrance of perfect love offers me to serve its purpose. How can an innocent relationship achieve its purpose through the means of sin? I taught myself judgment, but vision is learned from the remembrance of perfect love. But vision is learned from the remembrance of perfect love will undo my teaching.
Vision learned. Vision learned from the words would undo my teaching. Yeah.
Vision, yeah. It's
hi, Elaine.
Oh, hi.
Its vision cannot see the body because it cannot perceive sin, and thus it leads me to reality. Innocent companions, true perception of whom is my release, is no illusion.
Oh, no illusion, yeah.
Are no illusion. I will not attempt to perceive them in limited awareness, but my imaginings about them will seem real there. I denied my vision to shut them out. Such was my purpose. And while this purpose seems to have a meaning to me, I will evaluate the means for its attainment as worth perceiving. And so I will not perceive fully. Truly, truly.
Now, how about instead of perceiving, pursuing would be good. The means.
Change it a bit, yeah.
Pursuing, I think that works.
Yeah.
Because I pursue the means is worth pursuing, and so I will not perceive truly. In that instance, I'm perceiving an illusion, giving it value.
Mm.
Okay, so what's he saying in this paragraph in summary?
Well, I'm saying again that as long as we choose to see a body, we are introducing judgment. We cannot actually see anyone's body without introducing judgment. And at that moment, we lose vision and we step out from holy relationship and invite misperceptions and projections to come into play.
Hmm. See one's body because it makes the thought system of sin and guilt, fear and attack real, and then you can't really see them at all. Their true reality as spirit, pure formless awareness of perfect love is obscured to you.
Yeah.
And so you can see why then relationships get horribly distorted, because your entire perception of them is wrong, and their perception of you is wrong. So how can you have any kind of functional relationship when both of you are perceiving incorrectly who you are? So it's like, this is why he says it's no relationship. No, it's an illusion of two selves trying to relate to each other, and it's nothing, because the two selves that are relating are nothing. Which is why unholy relationships, as he calls them, don't work. But it's so profound. I mean, this teaching, it still rocks me. So it's like, I've been studying it for so long, but it's like, what? Like what he's saying is so, revolutionary. It's a complete turnaround in our existing perception of everything.
Because people say all the time, don't they? Communication is so different. It's so difficult. Because they are talking on the level of bodies.
Yeah, and you understand why relationships in this world don't work, because two people who are misidentified with their body, so they actually have no idea who they really are trying to relate from that false perception of themselves and of the others.
Yeah.
In some relationship, which is, yes, you're saying, but that's no relationship, because two false entities can't really relate.
No.
So there's no real joining or connection, because they're both illusory. And so this is why these relationships feel so unsatisfying, and why they cause us so much pain and grief, because there's nothing of any substance there. There's no reality really there. And we're trying to make it real within the construct of, the ego's paradigm of, okay, well, I'm a body and you're a body, and somehow we're going to try and make that work. We're saying, give it up. You've got to perceive them differently, that they are not bodies at all. They're not their personal identity. They are just pure formless awareness of perfect love. They are the spirit, the same as you. That's the only way. That's the holy relationship. And that's just a perceptual shift and a decision we all have to make.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can relieve you, John. Read 8 paragraphs in a row. Well done. Lane,
Okay.
Lane, would you like to read the last one?
Yeah. Am I doing the alternative or both?
Yeah, we've been doing both, so let's just carry on.
Okay.
Read the original and then the alternative line by line.
Your question should not be, how can I see my brother without the body? And it's the same, companion. So my question should not be, how can I see my companion without the body?
Yeah.
And ask only, do I really wish to see him sinless? And I ask only, do I really wish to see him sinless?
And say perceive him. Perceive him as innocent. We'll make it want. Do I really want? Do I really want to perceive him as innocent? To perceive, how can I see my, let me just make that plural, then we can avoid the masculine, feminine problem. How can I see my companions without the body? I ask only, do I really want to perceive them? Because it applies to everyone. You know, as you see one companion as he instructs us, so you see everyone. So do I really want to perceive them as innocent? That's the question to ask.
Mm.
And as I ask,
And as I ask, as you ask, forget not that his sinlessness is your escape from fear. And as I ask, forget not that.
I will not forget. As I ask, I will not forget.
And as I ask, I will not forget that his sinless, or my sinlessness, or their sinlessness,
their innocence
is my escape from fear. Salvation is the Holy Spirit's goal. Awakening is the remembrance of perfect love's goal. The means is vision. And same, the means is vision. And 6, for what the seeing look upon is sinless. For what the seeing look upon is sinless.
for what those we perceive truly look upon is maybe change vision is the same as true perception. So it means is true perception for what those who perceive truly perceive is innocent. Well, carry on.
And no one who loves can judge, and what he sees is free of condemnation. No one who loves can judge, and what he sees is free of condemnation. The same.
What they perceive, maybe. What they perceive is free of condemnation. So they maybe just something on what, and they condemn no one and nothing, right? So stronger. So and they condemn no one and nothing.
And what he sees, he did not make, for it was given him to see, as was the vision that made his seeing possible.
Yeah, and they put it other way around. They did not make what they perceive. Was given him to see. 4. How about? Yeah, John's gone. Oh, true perception is given to them as is the vision that made this possible. Okay, just read it from the top in the alternative.
Yeah. My question should not be, how can I see my companions without the body? I ask only, do I really want to perceive them as innocent? And as I ask, I will not forget that their innocence is my escape from fear. Awakening is the remembrance of perfect love's goal. The means is true perception. For what those who perceive truly perceive is innocent. No one who loves can judge, and they condemn no one and nothing. And they did not make what they perceive, for true perception is given to them, as is the vision that made this possible.
Change this, and they do not condemn. They do not condemn anyone, anything. Because if there's no sin and no guilt, then there's no condemnation. It's possible. You know, everything is innocent, everything is holy, everything is really just part of the one awareness. And sin and guilt don't exist. Okay, so you missed most of this, but fortunately we have an executive summary, so you can read that.
Good.
I'll just summarize it.
Yeah.
Read that.
Yeah. This section emphasizes the importance of synchronizing my actions and objectives to achieve true joy. I may experience discomfort.
Say aligning my actions.
Okay. This section emphasizes the importance of aligning my actions and objectives to true joy. Bless you. I may experience discomfort as I transition from a state of limited awareness to a state of innocence within my relationships. This discomfort surfaces when I resist accepting the ways offered by the remembrance of perfect love, fearing the goal more than the methods. It's inconsistent with my goal of innocence to perceive other people as both innocent and physical. The belief in separation employs the body to make relationships seem real, obscuring the truth. When I judge others based on their physical form, I hide their true nature and create misunderstandings.
Okay, so what's he saying there?
Like
go back to the first one. Let's do paragraph by paragraph.
Yeah.
What's he saying in the first paragraph?
Well, it's asking ourselves about, looking at the body, but not looking at the body, but looking at the innocence, not the physical form. Right, so it's emphasizing the importance of aligning actions to experience true joy. We may experience discomfort as we transcend from the state of limited awareness to the state of innocence within our relationships. The discomfort surfaces when we resist accepting the ways offered by the remembrance of perfect love, fearing the goal more than the methods of achieving it.
Yeah, so we fear this, the goal, fearing its purpose.
Well, this is,
The purpose and goal more than the methods, more than the means, maybe we'll say, because it's more than the means of achieving it. So if we find resistance, we go, well, this course is too hard, it's too difficult. Really, what we're saying is actually we don't want the purpose, and the purpose frightens us. The goal frightens us. So then the means seem to be impossible. That's just a defense against the truth that the ego invents. Actually, the means are very simple. He's telling us very straightforwardly, look, you've just got to let everything go.
It's good for me, that one. That's a good one for me, because obviously with my situation and the physical form of my husband has changed a lot. So I have to go past that and see the innocence. So this is a very good paragraph for me. Yeah, exactly. And so, you do it for him as well, because he's identified with the body and the ego, and it's scary. If you're in that reality, it's a very limited, contracting, and it's going one way. It's going towards death. You know that. Yeah. So very important. It's scary for the mind. So you need to, as a miracle worker, hold him in the proper light. So that he feels. Yeah, so that he feels that. It's like, okay, actually, yes, I'm okay. I'm although my body is getting older and my mind is just becoming less reliable, and I become kind of losing my mind, and actually there's still this love that's coming from you, and that's very comforting. That's the only comfort there is, actually. As the dream unwinds, and what is there to really cherish here anymore? He's holding on to his car and various things that he has had attachments to, but that's obviously not going to save him. No. The car is not going to reverse the aging process and stop death. No. So it's a false idol. So only love can help, and you're there for a reason to bring that into his life and his experience in the last few years of his life, so that he has access to that, and it will comfort him and ease his transition, and maybe in his next life there'll be some learning. Be like, okay, I remember that, and that. Funny enough, here in the UK, not like Tenerife, but here in the UK, they do have what they call support for what they call people like me who are carers. Obviously there's more extreme cases than Dave, but the UK are very very supportive, but I bet they can't give the support that this is going to be not on the same level as this. Well, that's the problem, unless you have an understanding of non-dual teaching, you're not, because you can only then say, well, the problem is they make it real. This is the problem with support groups. You make the problem real. That's right. Yeah. So and then you talk about it and you discuss it, and it can be helpful to feel like you're not on your own, and you can go to a support practical group. Things. Yeah. You can say, you can see I'm not not alone. There's other people in the same boat, and I can get maybe some practical advice. And, so it can be helpful because you realize I'm not on my own. But the problem with these support groups is they very much entrench the problem. It's like, well, now we entrench the problem because the whole group is about, it only exists because of the problem. Actually, what you've got to do is transcend that problem in your mind. And let it go, so that you don't perceive a problem. You only see love. So you don't perceive Dave as a problem. You don't see the dementia. You don't see the
see the dysfunctional behavior and all of that. You just perceive loving awareness.
Yeah.
So
So this should
that's
really go in
ultimate
the,
goal.
this should go in the pack, you know, because I was given a pack for in a booklet. This should go in for us care, for this ACIM.
Yeah,
I should
well,
I should put this in.
yeah, well, it's a whole nother level though, because
It's completely, yes.
the carer really then has to change their mind fundamentally about themselves and about reality to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is the whole point, right? The carer's then spiritual journey through the relationship with the person they're caring for is to ultimately awaken through that to the truth of unconditional love. And so that's the goal that the Holy Spirit set for you and for your relationship.
Yeah.
Which will help you to awaken, completely. So it's all perfect in its imperfection.
Yeah.
I think that unless you have this higher understanding, it all just seems to be terrible. It's dementia, it's the last stages of life. The carer says, I don't know the person anymore because they've changed. They're not the person I once knew, I once loved. It seems like you're losing them. It's all very sad. And, only if you reinterpret it fundamentally and say, but actually, what this is teaching me is to awaken from my dream of being human.
Yeah.
And wake up to the reality of eternal love beyond all of this. And that's the purpose. Then it has a transcendent purpose. And then I can find real meaning in it. But I think, mostly these support groups, it's just tries to make, a bad deal somewhat better by saying, well, you're not alone in it. But they don't fundamentally reinterpret it and say, well, hang on, it's actually happening for you. It's happening for your spiritual growth and for your awakening. And so it's actually perfect in its imperfection for you as the carer. So you're not being hardly done by, you're not unfairly treated by life because this has happened to you. In fact, it's happening to help you in your own awakening, to free you from this illusion of time and space and the body and sickness and death, so that you can ultimately free yourself and attain, the pure formless awareness of perfect love and perfect bliss. Okay, well, that's a good reinterpretation, isn't it? Now I can see there's real meaning and purpose in my relationship, in my continued caring for this person, because I'm, it's enlightened self-interest. I have a huge benefit that's going to come to me because of this work.
And a lot of the time I'm getting it, but again, I do still go into resistance and get irritable and grumpy and all those things. So it's still for me work in progress, but I'm meaning well, but it's just that occasionally the ego gets into resistance, irritable.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's what he's talking about here. I read it because I'll post it on the group and I'll send the revised version after the session. But he's talking about the means and end being in alignment, and that the means must come into alignment with the end. It's critical that happens. And if they're not, then what it means is generally that your purpose is not, you're not fully committed to the purpose. So the way the ego works is it says, oh, this is too difficult to let go. This person's unreasonable. I can't let this go. But really what you're saying is I'm not committed fully to the purpose of awakening in that moment.
Oh yeah, no, I can see that, but it's the putting it into the practice. It's a big challenge. Yeah. Me
so by
personally.
letting go and saying, okay, I choose to let this go because I value the purpose.
Yeah.
The purpose is it's the only thing I value, is awakening. And the means of it then become obvious. I must let this go. So that might be a way, when that irritation comes in, remind yourself of the purpose. The higher purpose of it is to help you awaken to who you really are, to attain eternal bliss. That's what's really going on. And so then the means, which are letting go, if you value the purpose above all else, become obvious, and you won't have so much resistance.
Yeah.
But just in that moment to go, okay, but this is happening for me,
I've got to do that.
happening
Yeah.
for my
It's-
awakening right now. It's happening so I can undo my false belief in the ego.
Yeah.
And this is what the opportunity in the situation is, because the ego is being presented to me, and I'm reacting in the ego. I'm irritated or
Yeah.
upset or whatever. So now I get the chance to let go of those thoughts and emotions, which are what make up the ego.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
I'm free. So, okay, it's happening for me to free my mind from this insane belief system. And I value that above all else. This is what I'm dedicating my life to. So
Yeah.
best I let it go then. You see the
Well,
logic, but it just takes
yeah.
a moment to like remind yourself, okay, the purpose is, this is above all else. That's why he says in the early parts of the course, there's a few lessons where he says, above all else, I want to see differently.
Mm.
Above all else, I choose to see.
Yes, that's a good lesson, that one. Yeah.
Above all else, because like, okay, there's no other purpose above all else. This is the overriding purpose. And then I must follow the means. If I really mean that and I really believe it, then the means become inevitable. I must just do what's required to achieve the purpose that is, above all else, what I value.
Mm.
And then the means must fall into line, and you'll find that it's maybe easier to let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just reminding yourself, the ego will try and obscure that purpose in the moments. Like it just gets you to focus on the person and the behavior and the body. That's what he means by saying, you perceive someone as a body.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
focus
I'm
on the
still doing that.
physical, you
Yes.
focus on the form, you focus on what they're doing in a body,
Yeah.
on their body condition, on their speech, on their actions, their behavior. That all makes the body real, doesn't it?
It does.
And then the truth is obscured.
Yeah.
To you. So then it's to quietly say, no, what's been showing to me is illusion. It's a temptation to perceive this person as a body, which is to perceive sin and guilt and make that real, and then condemn myself to being a body and condemn myself to sin and guilt and death. So no, this isn't smart. I want above all else to see this differently. I want to awaken above all else. This is why it's happening for me. Okay, so let me let go of my misperceptions of the body and the form, identity of the body and what the body is doing and saying. I must let those go and connect with the innocence within me and the innocence within Dave, because it's the same innocence. And so if you can't see it in him, find it in yourself. By letting go, you find that inner state of clean awareness, pure formless awareness. And then, you take that awareness and you extend it to him. Okay,
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Can you just remain in that awareness when you perceive him? That's what it comes down to.
I guess it's more when I'm doing something where I've got to really concentrate and fill a form in, and I'm getting interrupted with what I call, seems daft things, but never mind, it's not daft to him. That's my big, multitasking. My sore point.
Yeah, but then remember, the purpose is not to do the form. The purpose is love.
Yeah.
So in that moment, if he's asking you for attention, rather give it. Because what he's asking for is a cry for love, isn't it? That's all.
Yes, but it's often repeat and repeat and repeat. But I appreciate. I need to repeat to myself. Yeah.
Okay, the purpose here is I'm learning unconditional love. He's giving me the opportunity in this moment to practice and learn unconditional love.
Yeah.
And it's not easy because it doesn't seem like it. It seems like he's just annoying.
Yeah.
True. He's preventing me from doing, what I have to do.
Yeah,
And
that's
again,
what
it
it
comes to
sometimes feels
purpose.
like.
But what do you really have to do? What you really have to do is learn unconditional love. You
Yeah,
see, so it goes back to purpose, doesn't it?
yeah,
In this
yeah,
instance, my true purpose is unconditional love. Okay, so the forms or whatever I'm doing on the level of form, literally saying you're filling in forms. You see, there's the form.
oh yeah,
That doesn't matter because it's form. It's
yeah.
physical form. It's not reality.
Mm-hmm.
So let me practice unconditional love now.
Yeah,
He's giving me that opportunity, and he's going to give you those opportunities over and over and over again as long as you're his carer and you're living with him.
yeah, yeah. It's obviously
You might as well surrender and go, okay,
I
well,
know I'm going to have to.
I've got
got
to
to
just
surrender.
accept that, yes, I'm not going to change his behavior, but what I can do is reinterpret it,
Yeah,
see it correctly. Okay, so it's a cry for love. What he's asking me is for love because he's feeling upset and fearful, and it's scary for him. So he's asking for reassurance and love, really. And I've got the opportunity to give that love now by devoting my time and attention to it. So let me do that, because that is my purpose, is to learn to give and receive unconditional love. That's why I'm here. You see why purpose is so important.
Yeah.
So remind yourself in that instant, okay, this is my true purpose now. Okay,
Yes.
so if I accept that learning unconditional love is the only purpose that I have, then the means become obvious. Okay, well then I need to drop what I'm doing. I need to let go of my attachment to completing it or whatever. I can do it later, and I can devote myself to him, and I can give full attention, which is love in action. Then he feels like he's being heard, he's being cared for, and you feel a connection with him, and you're not separated, and you've learned then through practicing it unconditional love.
Which I do. Yeah, I do some of the time, but as I say, it just sometimes gets a bit repetitive. But as you say, that repeat is teaching me to rise above and see the light and the love in him. Yeah.
Yeah. The exceptions you make are your own resistance of the purpose. Do you see that?
Yes. Yeah, I have been resisting a little bit. Well,
so then you're saying, I don't want enlightenment above all else. I'm actually, in that moment when I'm resisting, I'm choosing another purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
And so then it seems difficult to me. He says here, might be worth just reading this little paragraph. The means and end discrepant. Where is it? In the first one, I think. Yeah. So there we go. The seeming. Read that.
The number 4 or all of it.
Read the whole paragraph. Number 1. Yeah.
Okay. Yeshua has spoken much about discrepancies of means and end, and how these must align before my innocent relationship can bring me only joy. But Yeshua has also said that the means to meet the remembrance of perfect love's goal will come from the same source as its purpose does. Being so simple and direct, this course has nothing in it that is inconsistent. The seeming inconsistencies, or parts I find more difficult than others, are merely indications of areas where means and end are still different. And this produces great discomfort. This need not be. This course requires almost nothing of me. It is impossible to imagine one that asks so little or could offer more in truth.
So it's the inconsistencies, the parts I find more difficult, indications of areas where means and end are still different. So in those areas, as you're saying, okay, so I find it difficult to consistently do it. The end goal has not been accepted fully. You haven't said, okay, my only purpose is to learn this. That's all I'm here to do.
Yeah, yeah.
to learn unconditional love. Okay, this presents me with the opportunity to do that right now. Okay, that's all I'm here to do. And then you accept that. And so you don't resist it, and then the means become obvious. Okay, well, I must let go of my misperceptions, my irritation, and give love in whatever form that that is. And then you guide it as to how to do that in your words, in your actions, and then you're learning what you should learn, and then the purpose of the relationship is unfolding as it should.
Mm.
But if there's still resistance, it's an indication that the means and the end are still different.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And so then, well, all you can do is bring the the end in line with the means, and say, okay, my end, it's one goal, it's awakening. That's it. That's why I'm here. That's all that's going on here. I awaken through unconditional love. So the means are letting go of the blocks to the awareness of that love. That's the means. So let me do that in this situation, and let this love shine through, and let it express in my words and my actions.
Yeah.
Then I bring the means, which is the letting go and the extension of love, expression of love in my words and actions, in alignment with the purpose, which is awakening.
Right. Sounds so easy.
Well,
Yes.
the theory is great, isn't it? But to do
Yeah.
it in the moment, and to remember this.
Yeah.
But that's why we study and we practice. Like, okay, well, you
Yeah.
do a lesson like this, a section like this, but each section is effectively a lesson. And then
Yeah.
hopefully something sticks and you remember. And you go, actually, okay, my only purpose here is awakening.
Yeah.
In
Instead of
this
sometimes I say to myself, oh, this is going to get worse. And I think that's not going to get me to the goal of pure formless awareness or whatever.
moment. Yeah, because you're misperceiving. It's going to get worse on the level of form.
Yes. And I say
That's how
these
you're
stupid
judging
things.
it. But actually, your lessons are going to get better.
Mm.
You're going to be able to learn more as you have to surrender more.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only way you're going to do this, without really suffering yourself, Elaine, is you have to let go.
I do.
Completely, and say, okay, I surrender to this process, and it's happening for me. It's happening to undo my ego. That's why it's happening for me, and I surrender to that. That's the only purpose.
Just got to
If you
keep
have another
reminding him.
purpose, see, the other purpose that you might have is, oh, well, I think I should have a better life. I think I should be free. I think I should be with someone else, who's more functional, who's not, aging and got dementia, and on and on it goes. And then you have another purpose going on, which will create dissatisfaction.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But if it's like, if my only purpose is awakening, and this in fact is the fast track to awakening, because you're getting these difficult lessons to help you undo your ego, then you're exactly where you need to be, right? There's perfect in its imperfection.
Yeah.
Exactly where you need to be to learn the lessons you came to learn, to wake up in this life.
Yeah.
And Dave is your teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting journey.
Yeah.
Amazing, watching the decades go by and the different lessons we learn for each decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, I can't remind myself enough, really.
Oh. Which is why I'm saying practice. It's just saying practice, because it's very easy to forget. You forget
it really is.
And then the ego's purpose comes in. Oh. And the ego's purpose. And you remember, when you forget the Holy Spirit's purpose, then what replaces it is the ego's purpose, because we have to have purpose.
Very quickly, it gets in extremely quickly.
Yeah. So that's what happens. So you stay in the truth, or you go into an illusion, and you find peace and joy, or you suffer accordingly.
It's interesting you're saying that, because Linda, who's been doing the Course in Miracles for a long time, and she was a great example for me, but she seems to be out of that now, and I've noticed she's not quite as, not quite following the example anymore. So the fact that she's come out of it, so even she's been, obviously she was absolutely a shining example of really getting the course, but recently I'm not sure now. She doesn't seem to do it anymore. So
Well,
I don't know what's happened there.
this was Linda who I spoke to.
Yes, that's right. Yes. It doesn't seem to be into it anymore, just into a new thing called plant-based diet. And that's it. And that's interesting because she was just such a shining example of this, that it brought me to the course. But now, somehow, I don't know. There's just
that's just body identification.
Yeah. So
diet. It's like this goes way beyond that.
So even though you've practiced it for years, you still need to keep in with it.
You got to practice, man. It's just,
even after whatever, how long she's done it, 20 years, I don't know.
You gotta, you gotta keep practicing.
Yeah.
It's very easy for the ego to come back.
Yeah.
Which is why this becomes just a way of life. You're like, okay, well, I study the course and I practice it. It's my daily spiritual practice, because challenges are going to come in as long as you're in human form. Stuff comes up. The ego challenges you, and if you don't constantly remind yourself, okay, there's only one way out of this mess, and that's to let go. You forget, and the ego comes back in, and you go off the path, and then you're back.
Even for those like Linda, who to me, like I say, was just an absolute shining example, and advanced student.
She's not practicing it anymore.
No, I don't think she is.
Practice it. So.
Well, I did say to her, "You're not practicing anymore." She says, "No, I'm living it." That's her final words about it.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, are you really living it, or is it illusions come back in? You see?
I think a little bit has come back in.
It's not, because the ego is very, very persistent. Very cunning, very persistent, and you've got to continuously be vigilant. He says there's a clear-cut need for vigilance in this world because you're living in the domain of the ego. Very simple. It's projection of the false belief, and you're living in it, and the world mirrors that to you, and you keep getting challenged, and you keep getting tempted to believe in separation. So as long as you're human, you practice. Your practice becomes I let go. And I keep reminding myself of that. And if you go, oh well, now I've got it. That's that's when you're really ready. That's when the ego's really coming, because they're not saying, well, you got it. You can just be complacent. It's all fine. Really? Okay. Well, let's see. Are you going to continue on in that same in that same high state if you're not practicing? Possibly not.
But she's, she's still a good example. I just feel as though she's sort of lost interest. I don't know what the word is, but she's just not quite as, she was really there. Like it just felt she was just such a good, shining example of it. That's the way I would describe. Not so much now, no.
Well, maybe you're not letting go as much. It's like
she was sort of.
Then if you start attaching your mind to specifics like body and diet and all of that stuff, then it makes the body real, and it makes the
I think that's maybe what it is. Yes,
it makes it real, doesn't it? And then mind starts attaching to that and focusing on that, and you forget about pure formless awareness or perfect love that's beyond the body.
Maybe that's it. Yes. And a bit more judgmental as well of the form, where she didn't used to be. So just little subtle changes. This, you can see a bit of the sneaky egos creeping in there for her.
So it's a good lesson for anyone, because you need to be vigilant.
It soon creeps in.
You've got to practice. That's why Yeshua gives us a practice. He says it's a daily practice. Practice the lessons every day, and just keep doing it, because challenges will keep coming in, and so you need these practices to stay connected, in tune, just to deal with the ego's temptations that come in on an ongoing basis in your life. And that's why we practice daily, and that's why this art of letting go exists. It's like, okay, well, there's an ongoing practice process that can help you to practice ongoing. Yes, it's repetitive, and we cover the same lessons every year, but that's
what we need. We need it. It's a bit like going
because you've got to keep practicing and applying it to whatever's coming up in your life now.
Yes.
And so you actually never get bored, because the lessons each year are experienced differently. You'll have a different
I've heard that.
Different situations going on, and so then you and your awareness has changed, and so the lesson is a different lesson, although it's the same lesson. You experience it differently, and every year you experience it differently. It's extraordinary. So
I've heard people for many years.
And you keep learning and just going deeper into the truth that way. And you stay sharp, you stay vigilant in practice. So, I mean, the analogy in the world of form, if you're, let's say, a champion tennis player, take Novak Djokovic or Alcaraz, so you're at the top of your game, you just won Wimbledon, and then you go, oh, well, it's okay, I don't have to practice anymore because I've done it. I'm there. I mean, of course, they're not going to stay there for long, are they? You got to practice every day. They know if I don't keep practicing and hitting thousands of balls a day and practicing hours a day, I'm going to lose my edge. And someone who is practicing is going to beat me. So, in the same way, our only competition in this instance is ourselves. It's the ego. It's going to come in, and then if you're not spiritually sharp and practicing, it's going to come in, and it's going to dull you down, and it's going to give you kind of false beliefs and false idols to believe in, and all of that just diminishes. And as you say, you can notice if someone's not quite as sharp on letting go as they were. You notice it comes through in their demeanor, in their actions, words, their behavior. You go, okay, it's not quite as as light as it was.
So
you want to just be vigilant and say, okay, I will practice this course it's your spiritual path. You practice it for the rest of your life. What else are you going to do while you're here?
Well, that's right. Just continue.
Because if you don't practice it, what will probably happen is you'll practice something else. You're always practicing something. So you don't practice the course, then what you start practicing is judgment, the ego's judgments. And sin and guilt, and so you're practicing one thought system or another, because you can't have no thought system guiding you. So you may as well take this one, say, okay, this makes sense, I get it, it seems to be it's the only way, really, logically, out of this. So let me just dedicate my life to practicing this, and that will get me out, and that will make my life a happy dream. And I'll stay, vigilant and in tune with that, and I won't waver.
There's many things that I feel that have, it's helped a lot. Like judgment, for example. I'll be out with Dave, and we were sitting there looking at the lovely countryside, and a gentleman with a big beard belly came down, and Dave was going, God, look at him, and I thought, oh, well, I don't really want to look at him. I don't want to start judging him. So I just said, do you mind? I don't really want to talk about it.
No.
So it's a tricky one, because obviously most people like to do that. I don't want to do that anymore.
What you're doing then is you're judging the person as physical, which is exactly what he's saying in the section, don't do, because you make them physical, then you make the belief in sin and guilt real in your own mind when you do that.
So I just replied back, and I just said, well, I said, he's probably a very nice man. I didn't really know what to say. I just don't want to go down that road of judging people. And I just thought, I'm enjoying the countryside. I'm not really interested in the forms. So it is it's tricky, isn't it? You really got to
Yeah.
sort of rise above that comment that he made rather than getting
Yeah.
irritated with it.
Yeah. Because
So
it's just your own ego tempting you into judgment of physical form.
judging Dave for judging him.
Yes. That's another. One course teacher once said to me, "Oh, well, I was at a party, and then someone walked in, and he said to his friend, 'Oh, that guy is so judgmental.'" And then he realized it's like, well, I'm judging him for being judgmental. So who's being judgmental then?
It's like, really, yes, it's like mind-boggling at times, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I mean, you're judging someone for being whatever, judgmental, but then
Yes,
who's being judgmental? You are in that moment.
I was. Yes, I was actually judging Dave for being judgmental, and
Yeah,
so
that's how
it
it
is.
goes.
It's a real tricky one, that ego.
Oh, yeah, it's a minefield because the ego loves judgment. So it's like, okay, now I'm judging you for being so judgmental and unconscious.
Yes, I know. It's like, oh my
And then
goodness.
I'm making my judgment real, and I'm not seeing the innocence in you. I'm seeing the sin.
Yeah, so
The
it is.
guilt.
It really is work in progress. So I can see myself doing it. It's yeah. So you
So
can
the only
really,
way out, is to say none of it's true.
yeah,
None of it's true. That person that you see, the image, and it's just an image in a dream. That person is not. It's not real. Their body is not real. The mind that's attached to the body is not real. Your mind that's judging them is not real. Your mind that's judging your husband for judging them is not real. It's all part of this illusory construct that the ego is invented. So hijack the mind and take it away from pure formless awareness into this false illusion of nothing. It's just
basically,
spun
as
into
soon
something.
as something like that happens, you just have to jump on it immediately and say, let it go, because it's false.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So the Holy Spirit doesn't judge the specifics.
Yeah.
It just says it's all false. The whole thing's false. Right? What
Yeah.
you're seeing is false. The world is false. There are no people. There are no. There aren't really. Isn't really anything going on here? Some points in the workbook, he says there is no world. Right? He says this is the central thought the court attempts to teach.
Just an illusion. Yeah.
There is no world. It's not happening. So your judgment of it as happening is by definition false, because it's not really happening.
Yeah.
So that's what you've got to remind yourself of, because that's the only way out of the trap of judgment. Otherwise, you end up judging. And then in doing that, you judge yourself. Okay, well, then I must be the limited little self as well, if I'm judging others as that.
Yeah, so you would send yourself crackers. So you've really
Well, then you're condemning yourself. This is
so
we don't
you're going
understand.
in circles.
And it's just a project. I mean, Dave is a drinker himself, so he's judging the other person for drinking too much. But
I know
on himself, because you do. So let's just be honest about it. It's just a projection of my own limited self, and I don't want to face that. So then I project it onto someone else, and I judge them. So I'm not the guilty one; you're the guilty one. God will judge you and condemn you rather than me. That's the false idea behind it.
Yeah.
And the only way out is to say, but it's all false. There is no judgment. When I judge others based on their physical form, good example you just gave, I hide their true nature and I create misunderstandings.
So it's just, as soon as something irritates you, rather than like me just sort of going round in circles and sending myself doolally, just simply let him rant on about whoever it is that he wants to judge.
Well, you could say, Dave, you realize you're just judging yourself. Because that's what he's doing.
What, that he's got a great big beer belly?
Well, you drink too much as well. So how can you judge him when you do it yourself?
That could get into a bit of a...
So he's got a ripped six-pack, has he? I doubt it. No, he doesn't, does he?
No.
So then you're just judging yourself. You're hardly perfect yourself, so don't judge. So you could say that. You're just judging yourself.
Yeah,
I'm not judging myself, because that's in his perception, there's another person. But there isn't another person.
Yeah,
The
that could end
person is
up
a
in a,
projection of his own mind.
of course, but you've got to be careful, because that could end up starting a little bit of a defense. Do you get what I mean? He might just argue back and just say, oh,
Well,
you know.
maybe you just leave it. Say, I don't want to argue. I'm just saying, that the spiritual truth is when you judge another, you're judging yourself. That is a spiritual truth. So, accept it or don't, and leave it there.
Mm.
So I'm not arguing, but that is a fundamental spiritual truth behind this teaching that you're studying, and every great teaching. They say the same thing.
Mm.
As you judge, you judge another, you judge yourself.
Yeah.
And then you leave it. Maybe he accepts it, maybe he doesn't. But it's the only way to start making him think, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't judge. Maybe I should stop doing this. It's some counter to it. So you just got to be guided by the Holy Spirit,
I think so, yes. Yeah, because obviously if somebody's suffering from dementia, sometimes they just forget. So they'll just be continually repeating yes. So I need to be guided by my Holy Spirit, or
maybe you don't say anything, but in your mind, go, well, this is just the ego judging itself.
Yeah, I
And I'm
think
not
that's
going
be a
to
better
indulge
option.
in this game of judgment, because judgment makes sin and guilt real. And it's really myself I'm condemning. This is not a smart thing to do. It's really stupid to do that when you understand what you're doing.
Mm.
So the belief in separation, next one.
Right. Is that the section? This section?
No, we've read that.
Oh, yeah, we've just done that one. Yeah.
The second paragraph, just read it again.
Yeah. It is inconsistent with my goal of innocence to perceive other people as both innocent and physical. The belief in separation employs the body to make sinful relationships seem real, obscuring the truth. When I judge others based on their physical form, I hide their true nature and create misunderstandings.
So what we do, when we believe that others are physical, we believe we're physical. It's complete illusion. We're not physical.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my deluded idea of who I am relating to their deluded idea of who they are. And we try and have some kind of functional relationship in the delusion. And what he's saying is that's no relationship at all. It's illusion. Two illusory entities relating to each other, doesn't make anything. 0 plus 0 makes 0. Nothing and nothing makes nothing. It's still nothing. Although it seems to be something, it's actually nothing. Only the holy relationship where you join, with the other person in truth is real. So, let go of your judgments, let go of believing that the person is a body, and then you can start to perceive them truly as the innocent, pure formless awareness that they are. Okay, so read the next one.
However, vision is free from judgment and guides me towards the state of pure formless awareness. Recognizing anyone as totally innocent paves the way for my release from fear and accelerates my journey of awakening. However, my focus should not be on how to see my companion without the body, but on genuinely desiring to perceive them as innocent.
Oh. Any thoughts on that one?
Just like we're talking about the judgment, vision is free from judgment. And so if we work towards the state of pure formless awareness, then it accelerates our journey to awakening. So it's a case of not focusing on how to see our companion without the body, but on genuinely desiring to perceive them as innocent. So just going past the form and seeing only innocent. no matter what the form presents in front of us.
Mm. Yeah. And that happens when the purpose means more to you than anything else. Okay, my only purpose is to awaken. That's all that this is for. So the means must come into line with that. Then if I accept my only purpose is awakening, and I accept that letting go is how I awaken, then I must let go. Means and end come into alignment. Then I act in integrity to the Holy Spirit. I'm listening to the guidance and I'm following it. So it always, comes back down to you've got to let go. But here he's talking about the purpose, and really acknowledging that purpose as your only purpose as key. Because if you can do that, then the means will come into alignment with that automatically. So if you value a purpose above all else, then by definition, the means shouldn't be a problem. You will follow the means to achieve the purpose, because that purpose means more to you than anything else. So then you have motivation, inspiration, shall we say, to follow the means and to consistently apply the means, because the purpose means more to you than anything else.
Good.
So that's what the simple message is. You want to read the key message?
I need to align my actions and goals to experience true joy, enabling me to shift from limited awareness, born from the belief in sin and guilt, to pure formless awareness based on innocence. My belief in separation uses everyone's apparent physicality to distort my relationships, while my judgment-free perception leads me to experience a state of pure formless awareness. Truly desiring to perceive all my companions on this journey home as innocent facilitates my awakening. Yeah, that's very apt. Yeah.
Again, he's telling us that we can do this in a relationship. It comes back to what do we value? Truly desiring to perceive all my companions on this journey home as innocent facilitates my awakening. If I really, really want that above all else, I want the purpose of awakening above all else, then I must follow the means, and that means is to let go of my ego's judgments and perceive all my companions as innocent.
Yeah.
And that's the fast track. He's saying you can do that. You're home free. You perceive everyone as innocent, no matter what they do. You understand unconditional love.
Yeah.
Then you're home free. Then you've awakened.
Yeah.
But then he says you probably need to be vigilant in this world, because it's very easy for your judgment to creep back in.
Oh yes. Yeah.
It's not a one-time. Oh, well, yes. In this instance, I perceive my companion as innocent, and that's it. It's like no, over and over and over again. Every perception, must be innocent.
Yeah.
No exceptions made. That's going to require a lot of vigilance.
And I think the reason why most of us are sort of struggling is because we just aren't following the discipline of the course. That hour by hour. Okay, you don't have to be stringent.
That is going to make a difference, definitely.
Yeah, and I have to say,
that's why it's recommended.
Yeah, that's because I can see my mind so quickly goes off into the irritable, and it's I know for a fact it's because I'm not following the course properly, really. Yeah.
So you see, then there's a discrepancy between means and end.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want awakening above all else, then why wouldn't you follow the means that have been given to you?
Yeah, so the ego is still.
Here's the process, and the arts of letting go come into your experience to help you, because it's designed to facilitate it and just make it easier to practice. So then use the means. The art of letting go program is the means that you can really practice this course, and then align with the end, which is your awakening. And why not do it every hour? Is there a reason why you
That's true? Yes.
You're not working all the time, so you could. It's 5 minutes.
Not at the moment. No, I'm on holiday now, so
on holiday, so you could do it. It's 5 minutes of every hour. Okay, so you take.
I could, yes, yeah.
And instead of doing something else, you do that for 5 minutes, and then you carry on. And if you absolutely can't because you're in a car or then you just
do the next hour.
You just go, okay, well, I'll just remind myself of the lesson. Take a breath, remind myself of the lesson, do it in a few seconds, and that's okay. So we're not saying be obsessive compulsive. Okay, right, we're on the highway. Sorry, we've got to stop now because I've got to do No, you just do it in the flow. Okay, well, I can do it in my own mind, and I can take a deep breath, and I can remember the thought, and I can practice it.
Yeah.
But will you do it is the question.
And
how much do you want it? That's what it comes down to.
I do. Yeah, no, I would love it, but there's still that lazy. I don't know what it is. It's like your mind's like a puppy, isn't it? It needs to be put on leader all the time, and we don't want that, do we?
He's giving us your key here. He's saying, like, make the purpose. Your purpose must you must keep reminding yourself of this ultimate transcendent purpose that you want to awaken. You want to get out. Basically, you're in a prison here. This is an illusion. It's never going to bring you happiness or peace or the love and joy you seek. So you want to escape.
Yeah.
You're an escape artist. This is your purpose. And now the means have been given to you. You've come to A Course in Miracles, and you've come to and a program that's doing the course like really thoroughly.
Really, yes,
you can really get into it, and you can really learn it and use it to awaken. So use the means then. Okay. So, apply it. And just say, I'll do it every hour then. I've got a breath break. It's there. It's easy to listen to. All I've got to do is tap. All I've got to do is tap it in my Telegram group and have some reminder system.
Yeah.
And there's apps you can get, ACIM apps that will remind you every hour. You can get just apps on the App Store that will give you reminders. Put reminders on your computer.
Yes. Yep. No, I do have one. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got one. So then program, say every hour, and then when it goes off, go, okay, well, that's the sign. Stop everything, provided that's feasible.
Well, if it's feasible, of course.
Yeah. If you're in the middle of driving or you're in the middle of dinner, then okay, maybe you close. But if you do it like that, a lot of the time you can do it. If you're honest, there's nothing to stop you. You're just doing something else, or so you stop for 5 minutes and you do the breath break, and you can even do it standing up. Let's say you're washing dishes, you could do it while you're standing. You don't have to sit down necessarily. Do it while you're standing. You could do it while you're walking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
After a dog walk. So you can really integrate it into your life. You've got your phone. So all you got to do, and it's a player, you just put it on and listen. If it helps you could carry some headphones with you. You can plug those in. So you work it out and you go, okay, but I desire this above all else. So I'm going to do this. The means are important to me because it's going to bring me what I truly value above all else.
Yeah.
And maybe that's that's all that's missing. Like, you just got to remind yourself, this is it. This is all I want above all else. I want to awaken. So I'm all into this. I'm 100% committed. That means I must be committed to the end, to the means as well. And as he points out here, we go back here. So read number 2.
The period of discomfort that follows the sudden change in a relationship from sin to innocence may now be almost over. That'd be nice. To the extent I still experience it, I am refusing to leave the means to the remembrance of perfect love, which changed the purpose. I recognize I want the goal. Am I not also willing to accept the means? If I am not, I must admit that I am being inconsistent. A purpose is attained by means, and if I want a purpose, I must be willing to want the means as well. How can I be sincere and say, I want this above all else, and yet I do not want to learn the means to get it? And the means are the
Practice.
lesson.
Yeah,
practice.
practice.
Yeah,
That's
the
how you're going
lessons
to do
and the
it.
practice, yeah. Yeah.
Practice letting go, and you practice it daily through each lesson. The lessons are the practice of letting go, practically in using different ideas. So he's given us a great mind training program, and it's varied. It's not the same idea every day, so it kind of keeps the mind a bit interested. Because it was the same thing every day, you might get bored. So he knows that. So he switches it, and he changes the form of the lesson. But it's all a practice of letting go, and the lessons are that practice.
Yeah.
Which is why he's given a workbook, so you can practice the theory, because he's like, well, there's no good if you just know the theory and you don't practice it.
Yeah.
So here's the practice, and he's recommended
the
the
number
form of
one.
the practice. He's saying do a meditation in the morning, a meditation in the evening for a longer time. So that's the longer practice period. And the meditations I send you are about 15-20 minutes. So you do that in the morning and the evening, and then in between you top yourself up with shorter practice periods, so that you maintain a connection to your source, and whatever comes in the day, you use those practices to let it go, so that you stay connected as much as possible to your source throughout the day.
So most students, a bit like myself, they sort of want it, but they're just not practicing enough.
Yeah.
So I'm a typical student.
But I think very few people, almost no one, I'd be willing to bet, if you did a global survey, you could actually do that of everyone who's so-called studying the course. How many people practice it hourly?
They might start off, and then they lose it.
Almost no one. Because
so really, I'm fairly typical student. Yeah.
I mean, you're actually quite a diligent student, because you're coming almost every day.
Right.
You're spending hours in these classes, and you're doing the text. A lot of people don't even bother with the text. Like, okay, we'll just skip that. Never mind, there's 670 pages. We'll just ignore that and just go to the lesson. Okay, well, the lessons. Well, do you not think there's something of value in the text? That's why it's written.
I can see the text. Once you can translate it and get the essence of it, it's invaluable, actually.
Well, it's the theory that then allows you to practice better.
Yeah.
If you don't really understand the theory, then how do you practice it? So you need both. The practice of the workbook alone, it's helpful, and it will help, no doubt, because there is some theory in it as well. There's some of the metaphysics and the teachings. But the deeper, this kind of stuff, the deeper exploration of the ego and how its whole thought system works, and therefore how to undo it, that happens in the text. So you're not going to understand these kinds of dynamics of means in alignment with ends, and the role guilt plays, and sin, and because that's all happens in the text. So you need to do it properly, you need both. Ken Wapnick, who was the world's first teacher of the course, was adamant. He said, if you do the course, you must do the text and the workbook. Those are the primary considerations. You can't say I'm studying the course if I don't do both. No, and how you do that, you might do one and then another. You can find a way. But to me, working them concurrently works, because you find that the one reinforces the other. Often the lessons and the text are harmonizing.
So that's taking the deep dive. If you can do them concurrently, yes.
Well, that's the idea. So then you've got a 1-year program, and you do them both, and you chunk it down, one lesson a day, one section of the text, or the manual for teachers, or the supplements, and that that's pretty much takes about 11 months to do the to do the text and the manual for teachers and all the bits and the workbook and the bits and pieces, you know, the supplements. If you chunk it down, you do one section a day. So it's a year's program, and then, you know,
It's not too long.
no, 1 year to change your life. It's not that long, but
No,
then,
it's not at
you know,
all.
practice it continuously. It's not like, oh, I've done 1 year and then that's it.
Oh no, yes, it's a lifetime.
Like, okay, well,
sort of
I'll
journey.
continue on with this. You know, this becomes my ongoing practice to stay sharp, to keep vigilant, to resist the ego's temptations, because they will come in.
Yeah, no, because I've seen that, like I say, with a very diligent Linda was, you know,
And
really
she
diligent.
probably was at some point diligent, and then she said, "Oh, cool, well, I kind of got this now. I've got it handled, so I don't need to practice anymore. No, I just live it." Well, okay, maybe. Do you really live it? If you're not practicing it, are you really living it?
Yeah.
Are you? Maybe, probably not.
Yeah.
Practice is living.
You're right there.
You know, the doing these practices and applying it and doing the lessons is the living of it, and applying these lessons to your daily life, moment by moment. That's what he's asking us to do. That's why he says every hour. You know, don't let an hour go past without reminding yourself of the principles and of the truth.
Yeah.
And that way, you build such a strong connection, such a strong bond, knowing really that this is the truth.
Yeah.
That then it starts to become your default. You see, he's trying to install this as your default operating system to replace the current default system, which is the ego. So, well, that's going to take a lot of reinstallation work, because this other thought system is deeply entrenched. So over and over and over, you practice, you reinforce. You've got to train your mind to think in an entirely different way. And the only way learning, we know, it's just reinforcement. It's practice. It's repetition. Practice it again and again, over and over. That's the way you get good at anything. Very
good.
Just make the commitment and say, okay, I want this above all else. This is the only way to live my life functionally, to have a happy dream. And you need it. The beauty of your situation is you've got to find a way to cope with what is a difficult situation, challenging situation, and may become increasingly so in the years to come. So you have to, it's almost like you can't afford the luxury of just how you were. Okay, well, I'll just be how I was and it'll be okay. It won't. You've got to take it to the level to cope, which is exactly the point. That's why you're in the situation you're in. It's stimulating you. It's the catalyst to say you got to take this to another level. So try practicing it hourly. Put reminders. You got the breath breaks every day.
Right.
Okay, from tomorrow I'll get up and I'll do it hourly, and let's see what happens.
Okay, right.
You can only try. Go, okay, so
go for
do
it.
One day. Do it for 1 day. Go, okay, for 1 day,
right.
This is what I'm going to do, and I'll clear the day. I'm not going to go out and do other stuff. If I'm okay, I've got a dog walk, but if I do the dog walk, I'll do it around the dog walk, or I'll do it on the dog walk. While you're walking, it might be interesting. You say, okay, I'll practice it while I'm actually walking. I can just do a breath break and listen. That's so then you're starting to integrate it into your life. So do a day where you go, okay, I'm going to really try and get this, because if I can do 1 day and I can actually do it hourly, you kind of cracked it, haven't you? You're going, okay, I can do it.
Okay.
It's possible. So why can't I do it
another
next
day?
I could do it that day. Why can't I do it another day and another one? And then what you're starting to do to become is very consistent then in your practice. Like the ego will have no way it can come in if you just do that, because it's like, okay, you're just shutting it out systematically, progressively. You're letting it go. You're shutting it out. You're inviting the Holy Spirit in. You do that every hour, and how can the ego come in then? If it comes in, you've got to practice to deal with it immediately.
Right. Okay. I shall give that a go tomorrow.
So give it a go tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. I shall do that.
Let me know how it goes.
I will do.
Okay. So where are we? Did we do the key message?
We did, yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
so happy with this? Any thoughts, comments,
No, it's
questions
very
on-
good. Yes. Very helpful.
So
Again,
read it
yes.
yourself. It's it's an excellent lesson for you.
Very relevant. Yeah. Yeah, will do.
But I'll send it, send the revised version. And if you'd like to do a meditation on it, we can end the session with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would
like
be
to meditate
perfect.
on it? Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
All right. And then you can go and have your dinner.
Yeah.
All right. So.